This is the J. Scott Outdoors podcast on Western big game hunting and fishing, brought to you by GoHunt.com Insider. Research faster, hunt more. Go to GoHunt.com/insider and use the J. Scott promo code when signing up to receive a $50 KUIU gift card. I'm your host, J. Scott, and I live and breathe hunting and fishing, spending half the year in the field experiencing God's creation. I hope you'll enjoy hearing about our adventures. Guys, welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today is actually January 23rd, 2016 when I'm recording this episode. And I'm looking forward to this episode with Hunter Weems out of Flagstaff, Arizona. Hunter is a young, up-and-coming guide and hunter. He's been hunting with his dad for many years, and he guides for A3 trophy hunts. And he's got a lot of knowledge here on how his season went, archery deer hunting, archery elk hunting, Coues deer hunting, antelope hunting, a bunch of different hunts. And he had a hunt with his mom. And this is going to be a great episode. Before we get to that, I wanted to address a couple things. I just got back from Mexico. I was gone for 2 weeks Coues deer hunting, and with Colburn and Scott Outfitters. My associate Dar Colburn and I had 4 hunters on the first hunt and 5 hunters on the second hunt. They're 2 7-day hunts, and we actually had 2 really good hunts. On the first hunt, we actually had 2 GoHunt.com Insider members that had won the hunt giveaway in October. GoHunt.com Insider every month either has a hunt or a gear giveaway, and 2 lucky recipients, Ryan and Mervin, had won the hunt, and I'm happy to report that they both shot 103-inch bucks. It's both their first Coues deer bucks. They're both their first Coues deer hunts, and we had a lot of fun with them. The other 2 hunters actually ended up killing a 112-inch buck and a 117-inch buck, and we had a great trip. When we arrived at the ranch on the 7th of January, it was actually raining the whole day driving in. And it rained all night as we were unpacking the gear. Rained all night on us in the house. Not in the house, thankfully, although we did have a few roof leaks. We woke up the next morning to kind of partly cloudy skies, cold, crisp conditions. About halfway up on most of the mountains on the ranch, there was snow, and it was a real beautiful day for sure. And we saw quite a few deer. Deer were moving when it was cold, and the rut was actually surprisingly on pretty darn good that first week. And then we had our second week, 7-day hunt. We went back down. We came out on the 15th, went back down with a new group of hunters on the 15th, and hunted for scheduled 7 days. And we got a buck just under 100. 2 105 type bucks, a 112 type buck, and a 127. Interesting, the 112 and the 127 were both shot on the same hill the last afternoon, which I believe was our 5th day. And then we ended up coming home a day and a half early. So 127 buck is just a real palmated, real gnarly looking buck, and the 112 is just a clean, perfect 3x3. You can see all the photos of those bucks on my Instagram account at jscottoutdoors, also on our blog jscottoutdoors.com, and I'm going to be putting them on Facebook as well. I want to thank you guys for all the great emails that I got while I was down in Mexico, and I got a few emails in regards to the new sponsors of this podcast, and I would like to say a couple things. I got some great feedback. A lot of you love the new sponsors and have been supporting them already, and I would encourage you that if you haven't, please check out our sponsors and give them support. They've stepped up to support this podcast. And I got actually 2 emails from people saying that they didn't think that I should have any sponsors at all on the podcast, and I'd like to address that. So I do 8 episodes a month, if not more. I believe the highest amount of episodes that I've done was going leading into the fall season in July and August. I think I did 12 to 14. And this podcast, takes quite a bit of my time, and I really enjoy doing it. But in my mind, I think it's a perfect avenue and perfect platform to have sponsors. And the reality is, this podcast wouldn't be possible without sponsors. So, for the two guys that did email and they feel like I should not have any sponsors at all, I just, this podcast isn't going to be possible without sponsors. So, if I lose 2 listeners, that's really too bad. But it's the way it is. And I appreciate all of you that have emailed and texted me talking about the new sponsors and how excited you were that they stepped up to support this podcast, because without them, it wouldn't be possible. So enough about that. I'm going to try and continue to bring really good information in regards to hunting and fishing. And I've got already a great lineup of guests over the next couple of months. And I'm going to continue to try and get better and better. This podcast just started out at the end of February of 2015, and we're almost a year old. But it seems like I learn something every episode, and I'm getting a little bit better at my craft. And I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me with this podcast. I would like to point out that the GoHunt.com Insider January giveaway, there's 7 or 8 days left in to the end of January. GoHunt.com Insider is giving away 40 double tap ammunition gift certificates worth $100 each. So that's a total value of $4,000. And double tap hand loads all of their rounds. They also own rifles and handguns in every caliber that they offer, and they spend countless hours on load development. I want to thank GoHunt.com Insider for their title sponsor, of being the title sponsor of this podcast. And all you have to do to win one of these gift certificates, 40 of the Insider members are going to win. All you have to do is be a GoHunt.com Insider member. And they've recently given away, like I said, 2 Coues deer hunts in Mexico with a retail value of $13,000. 4 landowner tags, elk, mule deer, and antelope. And they also gave away a $22,000 Dall sheep hunt in, I believe it was June. 100 phone scope digiscoping adapters, KUIU sleeping bags, KUIU packs. The list goes on and on. All you have to do is be an Insider member to be eligible for the drawing. And if you're not already an Insider member, go to gohunt.com/insider, click on the blue Join Now button, use the JScott promo code, and you automatically get a $50 KUIU gift card when signing up. And I also would like to point out that GoHunt.com Insider has recently released their state's draw odds, and I've been going over for my Colorado and my Utah application, looking at the draw odds, trying to figure out the best opportunity for me for those states. So interesting news in Arizona. Obviously, you guys have probably heard about the non-resident tag allocation. And we're hopefully going to have an episode here before the draw. I believe the draw is due February 9th. And I'm actually going to break down the elk and antelope Arizona drawing and give kind of my opinion on the units to apply for. So we're going to cover some of that in an upcoming episode here before the drawing is due. And guys, I just want to thank you for your support of this podcast. Thank you for all the emails at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com, all the positive feedback. And you can go to jscottoutdoors.com, JScott Outdoors on YouTube, at JScott Outdoors on Instagram to follow along with our adventures. And let's get right to the episode with Hunter Weems.
Tired of paying for opinionated hunting consultants and out-of-date information, spending hours reading rules and regulations, applying for tags, and not drawing? We were too. So here at GoHunt.com, we came up with a solution of our own. With the information of draw odds and filtering 2.0 in GoHunt Insider, you now have the most reliable hunting information on the market to date. Choose the type of hunt you want, when you want it, and we'll provide you with the rest. We'll also bring you plenty of other game-changing features you won't find anywhere else. So use someone you really trust to find your next hunt, yourself. Visit GoHunt.com/insider and join the movement.
Use the JScott promo code when signing up and receive a $50 KUIU gift card. Since 1982, the Outdoorsman's in Phoenix has made it their goal to provide the very best customer service combined with the latest and greatest optics and accessories in the business. Outdoorsman's is the leading designer and manufacturer of high-quality tripods and mounting accessories for any hunter's optical needs. Go to outdoorsmans.com or call 1-800-291-8065 and use the JScott promo code until February 28th to receive 10% off all Outdoorsman's packs and pack accessories. Welcome to the JScott Outdoors podcast. Today we've got a young up-and-comer. We've got Hunter Weems from Flagstaff, Arizona, and Hunter guides for A3 trophy hunts. Hunter, how you doing?
Good, Jay. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to, you obviously get out in the field a lot. Hunter, what's your background in hunting and how did you get your start and what have you?
Well, my dad, before I was born, he had his own guide service here in Arizona. And then once they let out-of-state outfitters come in, he started, couldn't compete with the market there. Being a small town Flagstaff guy, so he started guiding and he still does it to this day, and that's really where I learned my passion for it. My whole family's hunted living here in Flagstaff. They've hunted Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. I killed my first bull when I was 10 years old, and unfortunately haven't had an elk tag since then, but that, it got me hooked. Growing up, I was never a trophy hunter or anything like that, so it's all kind of new to me, I guess. But that's really where I got my start.
How old are you, Hunter?
22 now.
22, and you're guiding for A3 trophy hunts, and I know that allows you to be out in the field. I follow you on Instagram and Facebook and such, and it seems like you're always out in the field. Are you enjoying hunting as much as you've been out?
Yeah, I am. I think towards the end of the season, when you put a couple hundred days in the woods every year, towards the end of the season, it's nice to either hunt for yourself, with the bow in your hand or whatever, or, just kind of take a break because it does take its toll on you out there. But I mean, there's really nothing better. There's no desk job or any other job that I can think of that allows you to pretty much do exactly what your passion is, like guiding does.
For sure. What hunts here in 2015, give me a rundown of kind of the start of the year and how it progressed. Maybe kind of walk me through your season of 2015.
Yeah, this year I was lucky and I got to hunt the kaibab on the archery deer hunt with two guys, and we shot at some deer. Didn't connect on anything, but we shot at some deer that, strip type deer that, we're very fortunate to find and locate day after day and fling some arrows at. We never connected, but we still enjoyed the hunt. Then I got to do a 5B rifle antelope hunt with some people that now are, some lifelong friends that I've got to make. The lady that had the tag, she's 14 years old, and she ended up killing an exceptional antelope, and a very rewarding hunt, just how long it took us and how many miles we had to put in. But she ended up killing a great buck.
Hunter, was that a hunt that you know very well, so you knew where to go, or did you really have to pour in the scouting time to find that buck?
Well, 5B being close to Flagstaff, it's pretty accessible for me to run out, for hours a day or just a couple hours in the morning before work or something. But my family grew up in 5B. It's where I harvested my first bull elk. So it's kind of like my backyard, I guess you could say, as far as hunting goes. And I had previously guided for Gary Howell of Howell Wildlife Outfitters here in Flagstaff. And we had an archery antelope hunter in 5B, it might be 4 years ago, 4 hunting seasons ago. And that's kind of how I learned it for antelope. I'd always seen it, but never really hunted antelope out there. So that laid me a pretty good foundation of where to start, actually.
Nice. So this young lady shot a really nice buck with you?
Yeah, she did. I think the buck went 82 or 83. It was one of the bucks that there's other guys here, local guys in Flagstaff, that were hunting this buck and another buck. And the other buck was, 5-6 inches bigger, and it was taken by Robbie Gerlach. But that was our hit list buck that we really were looking for. And then the buck that we harvested, that was the other buck that we had scouted. And Chad Roten and Josh Stout and myself had taken video of this buck multiple times, and we figured that he was one of the better bucks out there. So it was nice that, knowing the unit and then being able to scout it quite a bit, turned up a buck like this. And, she may never draw a rifle antelope tag again. So it was nice that she was able to harvest a buck of that quality, especially being as young as she was. She was very appreciative of what she had accomplished.
That's awesome. And then from there, where'd you go?
From there, I had about a day and a half off, I think. And then I went to Unit 9. And I had a lady that had the muzzleloader, trophy muzzleloader tag. And we had a camp full of 5 hunters. And we all 5 tagged out, I think, in 4 or 5 days or something like that. But
every time I'd go by there, there'd be a new bull. It seemed like I never saw you there that I know of, but when I would go by that camp, there'd be a new bull hanging, and it was good to see all you guys there. And how was that hunt, Hunter?
That hunt was pretty good. I kind of believe personally that the second week of the archery hunt is typically the better week for the rut in most cases. And, as most know, they put that muzzleloader hunt in front of the archery hunt this year. So I think it was a little bit pre-rut. We had bulls, screaming every day, but it wasn't quite, full swing that I would expect for a trophy hunt like that. But overall, the hunt was great. We were in, bulls that were between 350 and 380 every day, just waiting to get the right one kind of thing. And, we saw some bulls that, I'll never, ever forget. On my Instagram, I had a video of a really big bull, and the lady that I was hunting with, her and her husband sat water that evening, and I just went out to film bulls and ended up calling this bull in silent, and he came into 12 yards and bugled right in my face. So, that hunt had a lot more than we didn't just kill a bull. I met some people that I still talk to this day, and I really got to enjoy it and make some memories with them. And, and she ended up killing a great bull. So I think that was a win for everybody.
I actually saw the bull, and it was a very nice bull. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think you had already, or maybe you were out in the field or something, scouting again when I stopped in there, but I did see her bull. It was a beautiful bull. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I actually had to go to an archery hunt that was already going on, so I had to leave pretty much the night after we shot that bull. But yeah, in camp, I think that night, Josh Wilson, who's another guide, he's a younger guy about my age, he we killed ours in the morning, and he came in with a bull that was even bigger than ours. So it was pretty neat, that hunt. I think we killed 3 bulls on that third day of the hunt, and, it just stacked on. It kept getting a little bit better and a little bit better, and people were seeing and filming bigger bulls every day. So the hunt progressed kind of like you'd typically think a rut hunt would. It gets better as time goes on.
Then you headed archery hunting.
Yep. I got to go to Unit 1 on an archery hunt, and I had been in one a couple times, but it was a last-minute thing. Guy just wanted somebody to hunt with, and so I ran over there, and, I've hunted it on the late hunt. I've hunted the early rifle or muzzleloader hunt one time, just kind of spotted for it. But when I got there, it was kind of a crash course in learning a bunch of the unit in a day or so, and getting out there and putting some serious miles down. And we hunted some really, really big bulls, missed a lot of bulls, didn't connect on anything there either. But again, it was one of those things where, you value your time out there and learning a new unit and seeing new bulls that you've never dreamt you'd see. But we didn't connect, but it was still a good time.
Awesome. Then where did your adventure take you?
Let's see. After that, I came over to 5A, and I hunted with a guy named Mike and his son Cody, and he had the early rifle tag in 5A. And that hunt, my dad's guided the archery hunt in there for the last, I couldn't tell you how many years, and I've been in there and I've been able to help him and run around a little bit, and I've shed hunted that area, so I knew it pretty well. I ran a ton of cameras in there at preseason scouting, and for, typically I think 5A is not known for being, I guess you would call it a big bull unit. But some of the bulls we were seeing, were the equivalent of a Unit 9 bull, or, something that on a Unit 10 early rifle hunt that you probably not pass up. So, for being I would call it a sleeper unit, I was pretty impressed for what we were seeing every day, getting into 7 bulls a day, and you can hear 7 different bugles, and you get to see 4 or 5 of the bulls bugling. So the next day you try to find the other 3. So that hunt was a lot of fun, and we hunted one bull pretty exclusively that went, I think after he got killed, he was 364 or 5 or something like that. And that was one of the better bulls that we had seen on the hunt. And we ended up shooting a different bull on day 6 of 7. Really nice 6-point bull. Doesn't score crazy high, but it was one of those things where you had camera rolling from the sun, and the dad got to sneak up and put just a spectacular shot on this bull. So, it was another family memory, and his wife actually got to come and hunt with us for the first 3 days. So that was another thing. It was like, built memories, and then they got to experience it as a family, and we all came out on top because Mike got to kill an exceptional bull that I would never pass in my wildest dreams. So that was my last rut hunt of the year.
Well, after elk season, then what were you in? Were you in the doldrums for a while to getting over elk season because of how cool it is?
Yeah, we had maybe 2 weeks off, I guess, after that early rifle hunt. I was listening to one of your other podcasts about the elk hangover, and I've never heard anybody say it any better than that. That was pretty spot on, because, you go from listening to bugling bulls out of your tent all night long into, that's pretty quiet around the house, and deer don't talk like that, so it was a little bit different, and, you miss it a lot. But then I got to go hunt Coues deer, and that's another thing that, man, I just can't get enough of.
So you Coues deer hunted right after that?
Yep, my roommate, actually, Austin Rourke, he had a 21 general hunt, and his dad and one of his dad's friends had the tag as well. So we kind of threw a tent in the back of the truck with a cot and ran down the 21 for a couple of days and got to, experience that country, and some of that's far more rugged than any elk country I've been in. And we had a friend, Colton Choate, come down, and we hunted, I think we hunted 2 days, and we shot at some deer, didn't connect on anything. And it was kind of one of those deals where we were kind of done hunting. And we were, at that point, wanted to fill a tag and head back home because he and I both had school coming up the following week. So we went after a little 2-point buck that crested over a hill. And after we came up over the hill, a group of 4 bucks walked, kind of ran out in front of us at 400 yards. And he shot a buck, and we knew it had a good frame, walked up to it, and the buck went 106. So it was one of those things where you'd never in your wildest dreams imagine shooting a 106 buck after going after barely a split horn 2-point. But I guess if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
That's definitely a nice surprise to come away with a 106 when you go up after a 2-point. That's awesome. But I heard you say something in there. So you're going to school also with all of this going on?
Yep, I'm a criminal justice major here at NAU, and I will be graduating next year with my bachelor's in criminal justice.
You know what's interesting about that, Hunter, is I was a justice studies major in college as well, and so that's interesting to hear. I spent 3 years at Grand Canyon University and then finished at ASU, and I believe it was criminal justice at Grand Canyon, and then it switched to justice studies, I believe, at ASU. So with that degree, what are you thinking for occupation?
Well, my dad was in law enforcement for almost 30 years. So growing up, that was kind of the world I lived in, You get to learn it, and you get to be kind of criminally justice-minded, I would say. Growing up around law enforcement and other people in law enforcement, my best friends these days are other cops' kids. So that was my plan. But this last summer, I got a job. 2 years ago, I got my real estate license. And then this last summer, I got a job at an escrow title company here in Flagstaff. So I've been doing that, and I'm far enough into the degree at NAU that I'm gonna, pursue it and finish it. That way, I've got that really cool, expensive piece of paper. But but as far as my career goes, I think escrow is going to be where I'm going to be at for quite some time, because it's a pretty secure job. As long as the market doesn't go downhill again. But I enjoy it, and it lets me, have weekends off, and someday have a family and everything, and be there to coach baseball or softball or whatever I may do. So that's my plan at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew, but I'm in the real estate business, and so we use escrow and title companies all the time, and have a lot of friends in the business and such, and it's a great business to be in. That's awesome that you're going to finish your degree and get that expensive piece of paper.
Yep.
I think that's good that you're going to finish and get that for sure. I'm sure your parents are proud of you on that. Okay, so 21 general hunt, then you had to go to school for a little bit, and then what?
Have you guys heard about PhoneScope? PhoneScope is a privately held company that makes custom-molded, precisely engineered smartphone digiscoping adapters. Photographing wildlife has never been easier. Take digiscoping photos and videos from your smartphone and share them with your friends. PhoneScope stands behind their product with a 100% money-back guarantee. PhoneScope is the future of digiscoping. Get yours now. Use the JScott16 promo code and receive 10% discount on all purchases. Check them out at PhoneScope, that's PhoneSkope.com, or on Instagram at PhoneScope. Utah Hydrographics is in the water transfer printing service, and they are open to whatever you can dream up. Choose from a wide range of camo patterns, designs, and colors. Whether it's guns, bows, tools, rifle stocks, vehicles, steering wheels, fenders, dashboards, paint guns, fishing rods, cups, tripods, watches, knife grips, helmets for a local sports team or for your motorcycle, picture frames, mailbox, animal skulls, you name it, they can probably do it. Utah Hydrographics loves taking things that are general looking and turns them into something that looks fantastic and eye-popping. Give them a call and see what they can do for you and receive up to a 10% discount by using the JScott16 promo code. Visit them at utahhydrographics.com or on Instagram at Utah Hydrographics.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to think. So we finished the 21 general hunt, and then shortly after that, we had I think A3 had 4 clients for the Unit 10 late season muzzleloader hunt. And so pretty much right after we got done in 21, we went right into scouting for that hunt. And scouting turned up some good bulls for us, but we decided, right before the hunt, Colton Choate found a bull that was probably in the 370, 380 range, and we figured that was kind of our, that was our bull for the hunt that we would be kind of exclusively hunting again. And then right before the hunt, another guide in camp was one that was in Unit 9, Josh Wilson. He kind of had a wild hair and said that we need to go hunt this other part of the unit that really we were familiar with but hadn't been in there in, a number of years. So he and I went down and started scouting, and it was definitely better than the rest of the unit. We started seeing bigger bulls and more big bulls, and that hunt it turned out well for everybody there. He and I each had a hunter in camp, and Josh's client killed a bull that went just over 350. And it was cool because all of it was on video, and we had enough time to set up for the cool stuff like that. And he finished his hunt in the morning, and they were done opening day. And my hunter and I, we hunted a bull that we had seen the day before pretty exclusively, and we found him again opening day and ran up the hill on him. Couldn't get onto him before he disappeared in the thick stuff. And pretty much I told him, we can sit here and we can wait this bull out all day. It was, I think, mid-morning at that point. Or we can roll off the hill and go to camp and grab lunch and then hike back up here. And, he stuck with it. He told me, he said, a bull of this caliber, and we thought initially right around the 400 mark. He said that a bull of that caliber he was willing to wait it out all day for, and so we stuck it out under a cedar tree all day in the blowing sideways wind. And right before dark, that bull that I had phone scope video and all kinds of cool stuff of him. He stepped out at 250 yards, which was right about our max effective range that we really wanted to shoot with that wind, to make it really, a real ethical shot. And that bull stepped out, and Marv put a bullet that you really can't place it any better, all on video, and the bull dropped, and we shot again, and that shot didn't connect, and then it was dark. And so we rolled off the hill and went back to camp, and I had, the video of the kill shot, and we reviewed it over and over and over in camp, and started realizing the shot may have been a little bit farther back than we wanted to, and a little bit high, and everybody kind of in camp was apprehensive about what the next day would have. And it worked out well. The next morning we went up on the hill, and the bull was laying there. He didn't move more than 5 feet from where we had left him the night before. And that bull ended up scoring right at 385. And if he had a pedicle that came out the front of his forehead, and if he didn't have that and matched the other side, he would be right around the 400 mark. But needless to say, all of us are pretty excited that we had a bull of that caliber not only on a muzzleloader hunt, but on a late season hunt as well. I think that hunt's not really considered a premium tag, but to pull a bull out like that was pretty special for all of us there in camp.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Instagram page right now, and I'm looking at that bull, and man, he looks like he's got incredible third points, and you know, every point on him looks nice and long, good thirds, good fronts, good force, nice bull.
Yeah, he was pretty phenomenal. When we saw him, we could just see his tops, and his tops on both sides I think they were perfectly symmetrical for the most part. Thirds were 23, fourths were 21, and his fifths were 15, with, you know, a little bitty extra on one side. But as far as deductions, I think that's for fish personally, so I'm really cool with the gross score. But
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that bull is phenomenal, and we realized before we shot that he had this kind of a funky pedicle on the other side that didn't have big, long, sweeping tines like, you know, his better side. But with a bull like that, you really can't even hesitate. That's something that most people will never accomplish in their life, is shooting a 380 bull. So to not shoot that would have been absolutely insane. So we decided that was the bull that we were going to harvest after all.
Well, that's awesome. That sounds like an exciting hunt, you know, for a late hunt to shoot a bull like that. It's awesome. So that puts you, let's see, that was probably November. So then what were you doing?
Then my dad had a hunt on the Kaibab, and I got to run up there and help him with that. And we killed 2 bucks up there with my dad's hunter, and then the other guy in camp I got to hunt with. And my dad and I had scouted a buck that we thought was over 200 just by a couple inches. And the next opening morning, my dad and his hunter rolled in there, and that buck didn't make it 15 seconds into opening morning. It was a really neat deal. And my hunter and I were gonna hunt that buck. But the night before, I found a deer that I had never seen before, and nobody that I know of has a trail camera picture of. Just kind of one of those elusive ghosts. And he had more scoreable points than I had ever seen in my life. Probably the craziest deer I've ever seen. And
is this non-typical buck I'm looking at on your Instagram with cheaters going off both sides?
Yeah, that would be him.
Oh my goodness, that is a beautiful buck. Did you guys kill it?
No, unfortunately we didn't. From where I glassed him the evening before, I watched him pretty much till dark. He had 4 or 5 does with him, and he just kind of hung out with the does. In that video, he's going away. I popped up right over the top of him, and he's going away, and then he comes up out to that little box canyon and stops and starts feeding with those. So I thought, oh, this is a slam dunk deal. Next morning, we roll into where I had glassed him from the night before, and I couldn't turn him up. Turned up a couple other bucks, but I just couldn't find that one. And that was really the only deer we cared to hunt in that area that we had found it already anyways. And couldn't turn him up, and started looking in different directions, and lo and behold, here's this buck walking across the main road, and a guy that was driving down the road was able to harvest him. So, it's one of those deals. Really happy for that guy that he got a buck of a lifetime like that. But, we were really grinding that buck out, and it just, one of those deals wasn't meant to be for us.
Yeah, well, sometimes that happens. Hopefully you can be on the other end of that one of these days where you just happen to be driving down the road. Doesn't seem like that's happened to me yet, but I hear about it happening, and my thing is I just say, well, hats off to them. They were in the right place at the right time. That's awesome. So was that the Kaibab? Was that a late hunt then?
Yep, that was a late rifle hunt in 12B.
Oh, 12B. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The strip,
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and then the gentleman that I was hunting with, we teamed up with another couple guys my age. One of them is Matt Wilson of High Point Outfitters and Garrett Smith. And they had seen a buck that their hunter had no interest in shooting. But, we had that interest, and we were able to go in there and harvest that deer. That way the hunter could get home to his wife for Thanksgiving, which is kind of the overall goal there. That hunt right there, no matter how many times you have to deal with somebody in the woods that you don't agree with or get in an argument with or anything, that hunt and the gratitude and the appreciation that guy showed for that deer, that'll make any, horror story in the woods worth it. Just the appreciation, and, I don't think that there was a dry eye up there when that buck hit the ground, just because of how special and how much a deer of that caliber meant to a guy like that. So that was hands down probably one of the more memorable hunts of my entire, guiding career and hunting career, was to see that guy so, humbled by these bucks and the country they live in, and to kill a deer like that was, hands down the most worth it thing I've ever seen before.
That's awesome. That's a great story. It's always nice when you're guiding. It's always nice to go with those individuals that really cherish the hunt like you do. And I had a similar situation. Well, I've had a ton, but the most recent hunt here, the Desert Sheep Hunt in Unit 22, my hunter Craig Dunlap. Watching the video, I watch it every time I watch it. What I'm trying to say is it just puts everything in perspective to see the reverence and see how much he appreciates hunting in general, but that ram and what that ram meant to him. So that's cool that you got to experience having a hunter that truly understood what that animal meant. So that's pretty cool and special. So did that wrap up your season then?
No, actually we had, my mom drew a late rifle bull tag, and so, that was kind of all guiding stopped at that point. I told Chad Roten of A3, I said, look, I'd love to take a late hunter, but this means more to me than, anything else at this point. Was getting to hunt with my mom. And so, talk to my mom before the hunt kind of thing. And, usually call a client or a prospective hunter and you say, what are you looking for? And they tell you, I want a 380 bull, or I want a 190 buck, whatever the case may be. And my mom told me, she said, look, I'd really like to shoot something better than a 3-point. So I thought, man, this is a fun hunt. This is one I'm going to enjoy every day, And my mom's hunt lasted a total of, I think, 5 minutes from the time that we got to our glassing point and got out and looked across this little canyon, and there's 2 big bulls standing there, and we got her packed up. My buddy Garrett and I got her all packed up, ready to rock, and that bull stepped out from the tree, and she made a 450-yard shot and anchored a bull that we had actually hunted on the early rifle hunt pretty hard. And I had trail camera pictures of him and everything, so it was really cool to see kind of some earlier season work come out successful on a totally different hunt. And especially that my mom got to, be the one behind the trigger. And, that bull's on my Instagram too. And that one meant a lot to me. And just the fact that she got to enjoy that. And she said, that's the most fun she's ever had on any kind of hunt ever. So that was another, I had 2 really good weeks right there where I had people that I was hunting with that they enjoyed every single second of the hunt, whether they killed something giant or they just killed something at all, and got to enjoy the hunt with somebody that they, love and care for. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, probably your mom was just happy being in the field with her son, regardless if she even killed anything. So that big bull was probably an icing on, just icing on the cake. And it's a nice bull. I'm looking at the picture now. That's awesome. Congratulations for getting to share that with your mom.
Thank
for
you very
sure.
much.
Hunter, what animal would you say from a guiding perspective, what animal do you like to guide for the most? And then I'm going to ask you, what animal do you like to hunt yourself the most?
Well, everybody likes the big old bugling bulls that come in, scream into a cow call. I think as far as a guiding perspective, I like late season mule deer. I don't know if there's anything finer than chasing a big rutting buck. I think that the deer are more active, and maybe you can pattern them a little bit better if they've got some does with them. And, the rut's kind of when, you get trail camera pictures in velvet of big deer, but the rut's when in my opinion, that's when the big boys come out to play. So I think from a guiding perspective, that's hands down my favorite hunt to guide. And I actually just got done with one. A good buddy of mine had a Unit 8 muzzleloader hunt, and it just ended. I think we ended that hunt 2 days ago on a giant buck as well. But, I don't know if there's anything finer than chasing a big old swollen neck mule deer buck.
There's video of this buck lip curling. Is that on that hunt?
No, that was from the kaibab. That was that kaibab buck.
Oh, gotcha. That's pretty cool footage where he's got his nose straight up in the air.
Yeah, that deer was full swing. Like I said, they're a little bit more patternable when they've got does, in my opinion. And I think in the 2 weeks that we watched that buck prior to that hunt, he had moved, 150 yards. So
wow.
It was pretty cool to see. That was a lot of scouting that really paid off on that hunt.
Hunter, if you had to pick one piece of gear that you couldn't go without, what would it be?
For me, 15 power binoculars. I don't know if there's spotting scopes are great, but with a pair of 15s, you extend your looks. You can cover more country. You can really, one thing that my dad's preached to me since I was young is let your eyes do the walking. So, you climb a big hill, and if you've got 10s, you can pick stuff apart, but you don't see in great detail. But when you have really good optics in general, I would say is the piece of gear that I could not live without. But for me, it's my 15s. I have the Zeiss Conquest HDs, and in my opinion, it doesn't really get much finer than that. I've looked through them next to Swarovskis, and I think, Swarovskis are pretty hard to beat regardless. But I think as far as price point wise, those Conquests are, pound for pound, just as good as any other pair of optics I've ever looked through in my life. So I would say that good optics are the key, I would say.
Okay. I totally agree with you. For people that haven't, for Western hunters, it's pretty hard to beat the 15 power binocular for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you're not hunting archery deer right now. Why not?
I'm not hunting right now personally because I ended up shooting a buck in January. Just a really nice 4-point buck. It's actually in the Chris Favors taxidermy shop up here in Flagstaff. But that's the reason why I'm not chasing right now. And it's been a long year without my bow in my hand, that's for sure.
Is the bow ready to go as soon as the clock strikes January 1st?
Oh yeah, that thing is it's been chomping at the bit, actually.
I want to talk to you a little bit about archery deer hunting, and from your perspective, if you were to give a few tips and pointers to people that are trying to archery deer hunt, what would they be?
Glass. In my opinion, letting your eyes do the walking, it's going to save you wear and tear on yourself, but that's one of the more efficient ways I've found, especially if you're going to trophy hunt. If I can look at $10 a day, but only one of them may be a shooter, I want to target that buck. If I get up on a hill and, I can look at a couple bucks and say, he's 140, I'm not going to go after him, but that buck is good enough that, I'll sit the pine, ride the pine for the rest of the year on, then that's pretty important. And I think that goes for kind of any hunt. If driving down the road is, you'll see a lot of deer that way, but you don't know what you're running into. But when you jump up on a hill and glass them, if you're going to trophy hunt them, that's definitely the way to go.
So when you're looking at, say, new country, what are you looking for specifically for archery deer hunting in hunting new country?
Personally, I look for places that I will find a lot of deer.
Whether you are interested in elk, deer, antelope, bighorn sheep, or moose, Western Hunter and Elk Hunter magazines will bring the adventure to your mailbox. These publications feature articles on the finest hunting gear, tips and tactics from experienced hunters, field judging trophies, glassing techniques, calling strategies, and much more. To become a more knowledgeable and skilled hunter, subscribe today. Go to westernhunter.net/jscott and enter your email address for a chance to win a $1,500 credit towards any Swarovski product. Wilderness Athlete is committed to improving the health and quality of life for the outdoor athlete by providing field-tested, scientifically validated nutrition and sports performance product formulations. Check them out at wildernessathlete.com and use the JScott promo code to receive 10% off any order in January 2016.
So you're looking for high concentration areas of deer because it's the rut, right? So you're trying to find an area with a lot of deer, then you get up on a knob and try and find a specific buck that's big enough for you to go after.
Yeah, exactly. If I think the boys are looking for girls at that point in the game. So, if I could find an area with a lot of girls in it, the boys are usually going to be there. That, and I look for country that's pretty stockable, or has enough nook and cranny type stuff, or has enough cover that you can get in close enough for an ethical bow shot. I think that gets tough when you're hunting flat ground. With not a lot of cover, you're not going to get as close, I think, as you would sneaking and peeking through some draws and cuts and things like that. So I think it's kind of like not a waste of time, but it's not very beneficial for you to be looking into country that if you do find a big buck that you're willing to shoot, you're not going to be able to hunt him per se, like get close enough to stick an arrow in him if you're not in good country to stalk him.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. In general, come January 1st around the Flagstaff area, are the deer still rutting, or are they starting to taper off?
In my experience, they are still going. Especially in the beginning part of the January hunt. Once you get to the later part, you might find a buck chasing a second cycle doe that hadn't been bred yet. Or some of the younger bucks I've seen will hang out with the does a little bit longer than a big mature buck will. But yeah, I'd say the first 2 weeks of that January hunt and the last week of the December hunt are your best bets for really good rutting action and deer that, deer are never stupid, but are a little bit preoccupied looking for does or whatever than looking for you sneaking up on them.
For sure. It definitely helps when they're not on full alert, and it's amazing how sometimes you can literally walk up on them. As long as you use a little bit of stealth, you can get pretty darn close to them.
Yeah.
Buddy, it's been awesome having you on the show here. Do you have any closing thoughts or any questions of me before we close here today?
I think that one thing I was kind of thinking about when you asked if I'd like to talk on the show is I think that there's some things that as the hunting community we can all do a little bit better. And, I may be stepping way out of bounds saying this, but I think that everybody needs to take a step back from the score and talking about, oh, well, he had this tag, why didn't he kill this caliber of animal? And I think we need to remember that not everybody hunts the same way that you do, and not everybody hunts for the same reason. It's like my mom's hunt. We went out, and that was a hunt where we enjoyed our friendship and our camaraderie together out in the woods, and we came out on top. But if we didn't come out on top, we were still out there for the reason of spending time together. I look at Craig Steele, who's, a pretty prominent figure in the hunting community, and something that he says pretty regularly is hunt for more. And I don't think that, I think that is probably one of the most accurate things and one of the truest things I've ever heard as far as hunting goes. And I think that everybody needs to take a step back and figure out what they're really hunting for, and remember that not everybody hunts for the same reason. When I have a tag in my hand, I don't hunt for score. I hunt for character, and I hunt for being out with my good friends and family. But everybody's going to hunt for something else. So when the next time that somebody sees a guy in January smack a 2-point with his bow, and now he's riding the pine for the rest of the year, instead of telling him, what the heck were you thinking, tell him congratulations on a good job, or her congratulations on a good job, because that guy may have had some connection with that buck and made a good shot, or a shot that he thought was difficult, and that's what made it worth it to him. So I think, trophy hunting is great, and I think everybody needs to step back and remember everybody hunts for something else and give each other praise instead of knocking them down when that animal could mean way more to them than it ever would to you. So I think that's kind of, if I could give just a public service announcement about something, I think everybody needs to remember that not everybody hunts for the same reason.
I think that's awesome, Hunter. I think that's awesome. I think that statement there shows where you're at with your own hunting career, and I love Craig Steele myself. I love everything that guy stands for, and he's always on the podcast, and people love listening to him. And Hunt for More is important. I love Craig's video series, Hunt for More, on his website, on YouTube, and I really appreciate you bringing that point up, because I think, I think it's real easy to get caught in the rut of this being a competition, and the reality is it's not a competition at all. And it's about friendship. It's about pushing your own limits. It's about achieving your own goals, and I really appreciate you bringing that up. I appreciate you coming on today and spending time with us, and I've always appreciated your support of my podcast. I find you commenting and liking and saying nice things about it, and I want you to know that you're always welcome here on the podcast. I look forward to talking with you about the upcoming season. We will probably have, a couple month break. I'm sure you'll be doing predator hunts and all sorts of other stuff, but just want to wish you the best, and thanks for coming on and spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to being on the show again.
All right, buddy. Sounds good. God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas, okay?
Thank you. You too.